Alright, finally, time for me to figure out what these classes are about. Let me head over to My Miami. There we go. Let's go ahead and log into our account. There we go. Head over to ESP 103. Let's check out this syllabus. Nice looking syllabus. Hello, instructor, the course overview. We got all that stuff over there. Objectives, that's what I'm talking about. Ooh, grading criteria, that's what I'm talking about. Here we go. An assessment? Seriously? And there I was, angry and all, the stereotypical guy, the one that said, I'm not creative, and truly believed it. But I had an assignment to do, so I did it. I submitted something out of the ordinary because that's all I knew about creativity, and I went into this class with an open mind. I honestly didn't know what to expect. I had heard that this class would be hard, so I was a little freaked out, but in the end, I'm in these classes for a reason, so I chose to just go for it. The walk over to my first class was frightening. I wanted to meet my teacher, meet my classmates, learn what we were going to do in this class, you know, the typical first day of class type of stuff, but it was still scary to me. When I got there, sat down, and took out my name tag, the only things that were going through my mind were would I get homework and when do we get out? However, by the end of my first class, I actually felt excited to potentially release the creativity that Professor Zeckler told us that we all had. And thus, my journey through the creative mindsets had truly begun. Y'all have a decision to make, and that decision is whether or not to be curious. In my eyes, this decision usually happens when I know I should research, yet I choose to sleep instead. You see, we were taught that curiosity is something that we used to have, but it was slowly driven away from us. However, ESP 103 has challenged me to be curious, so that's what I did. I asked questions like why, questions like how, questions like what does it take, and eventually that brought me down the path of researching how people get successful on YouTube, since that is something I am genuinely curious about. That led me down the path of learning how to edit. You see, this is what curiosity does for you. It opens up new ideas that can interest you. And who knows where those ideas will take you, so just go with it. See, before this class, good old David Moyer was no divergent thinker. He was just a guy with simple ideas who had the internet if he needed a good idea. Good thing Prof. Z introduced us to Post-it notes. He told us to come up with 30 ideas of how to uniquely use your phone. So I tried, and as you will see, most of my ideas weren't that creative. I used familiar ideas and threw them on a Post-it note if it was even a little bit different. But near the end of this process, you will see my ideas become a little more abstract. This method is tracked through the creative diamond. Generate as many ideas as you can, and the further you go, the better your ideas get. My ideas weren't completely revolutionary, but they were progressively more and more creative. In the end, I thought, how can I uniquely display all of this information in one place, but in a creative way? I ended up with a Quizlet where rather than terms and definitions, I talked about my ideas and how they can be implemented. I've had lots of failures in my life, but when I failed, I would usually beat myself up and try to avoid ever failing again. The creative mindset of resilience challenges that notion. Failure welcomes improvement and learning, some of that learning that can only come from failing. In one of our mini projects, we had to uniquely display our takeaway from our Genius Hour, and I failed. I tried 2 different unique ways to present the information, and I just couldn't figure them out. Powtoon was too template-based, and Prezi, it just wasn't right for me. But resilience tells you to keep going even after you failed. We also had a trade-a-thon, and I must have walked up to 15 people to trade with, all of them turning me down. I thought I would never get to trade, but I stayed resilient, and eventually things started to change. The next clip is completely unscripted.
Okay, your car?
Dude, Chen, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Can I have $5?
What?
Can I just have $5?
$5?
Yeah.
Sure.
Really?
What are you going to do?
I'll go get some food.
Guess which one is $5?
Dude, I mean real dollars. Like,
yeah,
seriously.
those are real dollar in there.
What?
Yeah.
How?
Is it pocket?
Guess
Guess one. Which one is
this one.
Alright, yours. I guess.
Oh, no way. That's right. I literally got $5 just because I chose to ask and wasn't afraid of rejection. The goal of that clip was supposed to be showing another example of me getting rejected, but sometimes when you're resilient, there are pleasant surprises. I even ended up making a good trade too. The people who make it in today's world don't quit when they are rejected, they push through. Oh boy, did I hate this mindset. As I said in the beginning, I really thought I wasn't creative, and ambiguity is probably my most challenging aspect of creativity. To top that all off, I already assumed this was the case, but my HBDI scores showed that I score the highest in analytical thinking and the absolute lowest in creativity. In fact, when I'm under pressure, I use almost no creative aspects of my thinking. That's why this project you were listening to was so challenging for me. However, I don't take this as an excuse. It just means I have to work harder and think smarter. Sure, the project scared the absolute heck out of me, but it opened up room to grow. Walks to and from class became times for me to think about this project. Sure, I worried a lot, but I also learned that ambiguity lets you do things how you want to do them. It also means I can't do it wrong. Well, for the most part. And it allowed me to pass my fear of failure and welcome real growth. In the end, ambiguity makes me better. This project started off as some divergent thinking. I went through ideas in my head that sounded creative and threw them on a post-it note. I actually thought I had narrowed down my project to a reverse video. It was going to demonstrate how creativity is unlearned. Cool, right? It would have some awesome reverse effects. Well, that's what I thought, and I began brainstorming ways to make this happen. As you can imagine, making a reverse video communicate unique ideas is next to impossible, at least for me with my subpar skill set. So my brainstorming quickly came to a halt. As I thought more and more, I realized how out of reach this idea was. However, being trained to have a resilient mindset led me to start a new idea. You see, before I knew the creative mindsets, I don't know what I would do. Actually, maybe I do know what I would do. Probably would have just thrown together a PowerPoint and turned it in and then got infuriated about the grade I got. I would have gone through my old reliable cycle that I was used to, but I didn't want to do that anymore. So I put together a documentary of these first 5 weeks. I completely loved the idea and became curious about it. I started asking those questions again. The hows and the whys and the what does it takes. I did what I enjoyed, and yeah, I could fail. But my fear of that won't get me anywhere. My walks to and from class have become times for me to truly think, where before they were only times to worry. I am proud of the work I have done, even if I don't know what grade it gets. And so now, here I am. A guy with a finished project that he's proud of. But you know, in reality, I'm just a guy with a makeshift GoPro comprised of my backpack, a cut-up cup, and my phone to try to act like I was filming in first person. And in the end, I'm excited to learn more about how I can be creative.